Okay, Wonder, welcome to a Stampscapes Monday Night Live. If anyone happens to join in, thanks for joining in, or if anyone's watching this on replay, thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm preparing for a class coming up utilizing Nature Set number 11, and what I've done is I have sent out papers to them to whoever's going to join in to hopefully create some really dynamic types of applications with the nature set, okay? Creating cards, I think, can be very dynamic, but creating a mirror card type of situation, I think, can be extra dynamic. And it's just doing some fundamentals of stamping, but utilizing a piece of silver cardstock on the interior of one half of the opening of a card, okay? And it's usually representing something like water or something reflective, such as ice, lake, ocean, pond, whatever you want it to be, okay? And putting our scene up there so that it reflects in this lower section like that, okay? But I'm going to show you something that these represent, okay? Some people, they've done some things, but I don't know if they get the concept completely, okay? And I'll show you where it is when it comes to scenes. You don't have to do scenes either. Hello, Diana. It doesn't have to be a scene. I mean, when you do a mirror card, I thought that if you have something reflective down here, and if you have a card up here, and if you have, like, I don't know, kids carrying an umbrella or something like that reflecting down here, this could be like a puddle or something like that. That would be really fun. So anything that you would have someone walking, on, watery surface after the rain or something like that, or during a rainy season or something like that. Whatever you want it to be. But, okay, going back to these mirror cards, I should have had some examples of it here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so something like this. Here's the larger palms with huts here in a nighttime situation right here. Palms and huts reflecting, in this case, a gold cardstock down below, like that, in a nighttime situation. And here's our little figure going for a nighttime ride or something like that. But how that applies, how you plan out something like this. Hello, Kay and Kathy. Good to see you. Good evening, or whatever time it is for you all. Okay, so what that is when we do a mirror card, let's take a look at some scenes right here, these initial compositions that I did, utilizing this nature set right here. Okay, so if we're going to make any of these types of compositions into more of a mirror card type of situation, what we have right here is foreground. Okay, we have these objects in the foreground, typically reeds, or in this case, palm fronds like this coming in from the base like that. Okay, the areas down low represent foreground. All right, this is our midground right here. It typically is the structure, the foundation of a scene. In this case, it's islands back in here, okay? That would be the Palm Island. Palms with Hut small right there, okay? So all we're doing on a mirror card situation like this, it's really easy. All of these foreground elements like this, those are going to be all within this space right here. And kind of the horizon line, wherever it might be, in this case it's right up here, or the palms of that's here, those are going to be in the top section right here. Now, whatever you stamp in the top section right here is all up to you, and in whatever medium you want too, which is really fun. Now, like, these aren't mirror card situations, but here's a piece of glossy cardstock, and you see that reflected down there. So you wouldn't have all this water down here. You would have this stamped down here because this is all in the foreground. Hello, Diane, Michelle. Good to see you all. Okay, so we're going to break it up. So I'm just going to show you what to do here, okay? So taking all of this right here, and I'll do several of these right now, okay? And one of the things about mirror cards, in my opinion, kind of the more, I don't know if the word is sparse, maybe, It is up in this area. In terms of the number of images, I think it reads better in a mirror card situation. Okay, so like I said, glossy card stocks right here. Here's something like the starry holographic printable vinyl. I mean, this would look cool in here too. See this right here? And look how that mirrors down there. It creates that reflected area. That looks interesting. Someone should do a construction like this one of these days where there's like a frame here or something like going around like this where you can pull some sort of scenery. Maybe there's horses running or wolves running against some icy snow or something like that. Starry cardstock, but look at that reflected down there in the surface. But you see, the simplicity up here really reads down here. If you have too many things going on up here, the reflected area, because we're not using, a real mirror. It's silver cardstock, okay? It's reasonably mirrored, but here's a reflection of me. It's all kind of blurry. Maybe I look better in that area like that, all blurred out, but you know what I mean? It's not a perfect mirror. So that being said, a decent amount of contrast up here tends to look really good in that mirrored section. And in mirror cards, that's what it's all about. It's all about what's going on in this reflected area. That's what I tend to stare at when I'm looking at one of these mirror cards, just because, I don't know, I really like that look. And if there's like a moon or something like this in here, and I'll do it on, one of these cards that we make here, it should be really fun to do, because as you open this, there's movement down here in this area like that. And then you can have like a moon kind of slightly raising as you open this. So you get a little bit of movement in a card, with just opening it like that. So it's just really fun stuff. All right. So let's see. It's been a while since I've been able to catch a live. Well, glad to have you, Diane. I don't know what time it is there for you, so I'll try to get through some of these really quickly. If it's early or later, you have somewhere to be. I know this is like an impromptu thing, but I needed to get some things stamped out here in prep for the class coming up. Okay, so I have 3 different surfaces right here. Actually, I have 4, okay? Now these, I mean, whatever you do for your top section of your mirror card, it's just all up to you, okay? If you want to stamp something out on some matte cardstock and use your pan pastels or colored pencils or something like that to be reflected down here, then do something like that, okay? You just keep with your dimensions that you're going to be working in, and work with compatible media. I always have to kind of explain that, because if I do something with, like, say, a foil cardstock and I have to use all stays-on inks or something like that, a lot of people tend to think these days, like, okay, if you're going to do mirror cardstock or a mirror card, it has to be with foil and stays on ink or something like that, right? It's not. It's just whatever you want it to be up here, so that I want that to be really clear. So here's a piece of the white like that, and there, that palms with HUD small are being reflected down here. I'm not going to really focus on this one so much. I'm going to go fairly, what I think is fairly dynamic right here, okay? Holographic printable vinyl sticker paper, okay? God, that's a mouthful every time I say that. So this one right here, is this the printable sticker paper? It doesn't, let me see. I've been using so many different things, it's like kind of hard to remember. I think this one is, though. This is the sticker paper. Okay, so this one right here can take a lot of different media, all right? And dye-based inks, pigment inks, maybe not the, let me see, did it take VersaFine and dry? I think it took the VersaFine Clair and dried. I think one of these is the VersaFine Clair. This is the same type of paper. This one's just starry, and this one's just plain holographic. It's hard to kind of think about holographic as being plain these days, but we've been using some kind of wilder mediums these days, surfaces to stamp on, where it looks like this is now what used to be something crazy to stamp on and really super active and loud is now kind of tame by comparison. I don't know. Okay, so just, utilize the media that's going to be compatible with whatever surface you're working on. I haven't used this one yet on a mirror card situation. I don't know if it's going to work because it's just so loud, but taking a look at it down there, like, is this Palms with Huts even going to show up down there on it? You know what I mean? Because this paper is just so loud. But I want to try and see what we can do with it. Okay. All right. So that being said, and a Stardream Lapis Lazuli, which is an iridescent metallic cardstock. Okay, this one happens to be text weight, so it's pretty thin. But this is another one that I sent out to people, so we can do kind of a moonlit type of scene. Let's see. Let's start off with this one right here, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp out the Palms with the Huts right on the horizon line, okay? Because this represents the area from, the surface of whatever, Earth, and this is all sky up here, okay? That's what this represents right here when we sandwich it with a surface like this, okay? So it's like, it looks like it's like sky up here, and here's, the land right here. The world is flat, right? It's flat to the eye, at least, okay? All right, so on the Stardream right here, I'm going to stamp my imagery out. I'm going to do it in the Stays On. I've been doing it in the Brilliance black pigment ink because it's nice and thick, and the Brilliance ink will dry on this type of metallic surface right here. Dye-based inks might, some of them might, but some of them are kind of thick, so I'm not sure if they're going to dry very quickly for you, if maybe at all. Like if you're using like a thicker ink like a Memento, I don't know if it's going to dry. It's a late even for Kevin to start a lot. I've been doing a lot at midnight, Kathy. In fact, I would be doing most of them at midnight because that's when I would probably be doing most of my stamping. I've just been starting earlier just because, people are asleep. So I try to get on early, especially, people that are Eastern Standard. There's a lot of us kind of West Coast, Pacific Standard times out here that are still up, be it in British Columbia, Canada, or wherever, Southern California. Okay, so Stays On. We have our impression like that. It's kind of a duller impression. I'm going to show you too. I've stamped out these on just a matte or semi-gloss cardstock, just a plain cardstock. So I want to show you some differences between doing it on, directly on here and doing it on there, okay? And I'll show you how that goes. Okay, so there is that. And I say I could have left that on there. Let's see, we need a larger, where are my acrylic blocks? Oh, I'm in that zone where my desk is really cluttered. When you get into that, unless you're one of those people that keeps your area like completely like super organized, which isn't me. The time when to start cleaning up is when you can't find anything. Like if I'm looking for my acrylic blocks all the time, it's like, all right, things are a little bit too cluttered. Okay, now I could have done some blocking out on here. I could have added some white down underneath this before I stamped it out. But I'm going to just show you something. This one's going to be like a moody, moonlit type of scenario here. I know it's really hard for you guys to see right now because there's not a lot of contrast between black and lapis lazuli. Okay, but I'll show you what we're going to do here. This is going to be this scenario with this kind of, oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a weak moonlight or if it'll make it a little bit stronger. Okay, but let's see. Let's take some, I don't know. We can probably use the hero hues on here, but I might go for my brilliance ink just because it dries a little bit faster. My brilliance white like this. And it's a little bit more opaque because it's just drying faster and I can build it up a little bit. Yeah, that's right, Kathy, huh? I think we use a different hemisphere of our brain sometimes. I don't know. Are we more kind of relaxed sometimes, you know, when it's at nighttime like that too? That's one of those times. I guess we lose track of time during the daytime too when we're doing our crafts, but I seem to especially lose track of time when it's at night. You know, you start crafting, you start working on something, and, you know, boom, 2 hours has gone by, and like you didn't even realize it. Okay, so I have a 100% cotton ball. It's all akin to like jazz, Diane. It's like a improvisational stamping. Okay, so right here, let's see. I'm going to put a moon up here. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp out this. This is called the hot sun right here. It's a sun or a moon, just depending on what color you do it, because I don't have like any craters on it. So if you stamp it in, you know, kind of warm tones, then it's a sun. If you stamp it in blue, then it's a moon. Here it is right here is like a sunset type of thing right back in here. And oh, let's see, here it is right here and here as a moon. Okay. Now I didn't go, these aren't finished right here. These were like quick compositions because I wanted to show people composition, but I wanted to add a little bit of color down just to show people what they're going to look like. Okay, so some white pigment ink. Smooth that out a little bit though, like this. Otherwise, you're going to be going in with like a big blob, and we don't want a big blob on here, okay? Let me go a little bit off center. Okay, now this is a mirror card too, so I'm going a little bit lower than what I would normally do on a card because I want that to reflect in our mirror. If you put it too high up here, the reflected area for this is like way down here, and that's a really far distance, okay? And it might not even be seen, so I'm going to go a little bit lower like this. So see, it's a little bit lighter like this, and then what I do is I take it out like this, and I use a lighter touch, okay? So you see that it kind of, it transitions from a thicker amount of that white to a thinner amount and lighter. So it's going from lighter to darker because it's thick to thin. And of course we're doing it with, you know, white. So, normally we're using, when I'm transitioning colors, I'm working with, you know, inks or something like colored inks. So usually where you add down more ink, it's going from darker to lighter like this, you know, more ink on the outside is darker to in here, but we're working in reverse. We're going light on dark. So you're going from the inside out like that. So you see, I don't have just this big blob of like a quarter sized sphere in there. It's more of like this, well, it's quarter size, but it's transitioning out to, I don't know, like a silver dollar or something like that. You know, because it's, when we're creating cards, it's all about money, right? I'm joking. If it sounds like I'm joking around or something like that, I am. I don't know. Sometimes people will say something later on, or I don't know, maybe. It's like Kevin, you know, said, creating cards is all about money. Okay, so we're going to stamp this out right over the top of that in black. I'm leaving a lot of this open too. I mean, it would be kind of cool to put, some streaks of, tone in here like I did here. But I'm just leaving it open. You can stamp like a whole quote stamp in there in white ink or something like that, and that would be really interesting. Okay, so acting as fast as I can. The center of this is right here. And I'll aim for the roughly center right here. So that's where that white was, right over there. Okay, so you get that little bit of white in there for your moon. You can use more ink, or I can really make that, a really strong white if I color that in with something like a white paint pen too. You can do that if you want to make it really strong. Okay, but you see these huts right in here? Okay, can't see them at all, right? Well, you can kind of see them, but we need to bring those out now, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to do. I never mask things out completely. Yeah, Linda, you're always up. Linda, you're always on like Facebook. I think you leave your account open like that no matter what time I'm on. Sometimes I'm on like at 2. It's like, oh, Linda's active. Okay. 2 pieces of paper, straight edges, okay? When doing things like rooftops, okay? I'm going to make these rooftops lighter, okay? This is what it looks like right here, okay? But in my type of highlighting on rooftops, I never cut out like a mask with all of the rooftops like that, okay? I'm usually doing 2 sides only, and that makes it easier for us too. Hello, CJ! Okay, so we have these 2 pieces like this. And it's kind of a smaller space here, I know, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. Okay, so I'm just going on. So, okay, let me show you what I'm going to do here because it's hard to see what I'm doing down here. But, okay, so I'm going to take each one of these. There's 4 rooftops right in here, right? Here's the first one that I'm going to do. I'm going to mask this off like this, okay? Because the moon is over here in this situation. And what I'm going, no, actually, I'm going to go this way. Okay, so that's my masking right here. And I'm going to transition the white in here this way. So I want it to go from light to darker over here. So meaning I'm going to be tapping white ink over here and slowly transitioning it this way. And why is that? That's the same type of thing that's happening on the card right here. It's going from lighter to darker over here. Now, as this ink starts to dry too, it starts to dry more transparent, okay? So what you might want to do is lighten it up a little bit, like so. Okay, so you're creating a little bit of a stronger source of light like that too. Okay, but now let's put some of that reflected light down there, okay? And I'll show you how easy this is. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to be illuminating those types of rooftops. So they feel like the inclination is to do like a cutout thing of those huts like that, okay? Exactly like that. I mean, people can do that. I mean, it would be a really complete way to do it. But for me, it's just kind of creating extra work. And it's not necessary. Okay, now these are smaller huts, so I'm going to kind of narrow this down a little bit like this. And let's see, I need more ink. Here, let me move this towards me too. Okay, and I'll just do it on one rooftop right now. On this one here, maybe a Q-tip would be better, but let me see if I can get it just with this little bit of a cotton ball here, okay? All right, so you have this right here, and see, I just have it right there. It's just a little chip. See, it's like this, like a, I don't know, like a quarter of my fingernail like that, right? And we're adding this. You can kind of wipe it down too, like this. But there you have that rooftop that's being illuminated like that, okay? It just takes us a couple seconds, okay? Now on this other one, There's another one in the background. You'll be able to see this more, I hope, when I finish with this. So getting that one in the background a little bit, like so. And then there's this other rooftop right here that kind of disappears behind this one. Sorry about the focus right here, but see this? I'm on this one right here. Oh, and then we're going to give an interior illumination to the windows right here. The windows on these huts right here are dark, you know, because people are probably going to be stamping out like daytime types of things most of the time, or whatnot. But we will make them interior lit, which should be fun here. Going like this here. And it's just a few taps. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, 10 seconds of work or something like that. But see those huts like that? That's what they are right there. And then I have this one right over here, okay? So we'll go like this, one side, and let's see, let's go with two sides like this again. It doesn't have to be equally illuminated down here all the way to the end, okay? You can just transition it from lighter, and it can kind of fade off on the bottom too. All right, so you get something like that. Now, it's not real crisp up top like that, but that's when I usually add in things with my white pen. I'll put little highlights up there like that. But let's see here. One of my white pens is kind of dry. Okay, I think this one was the one that was working. Let me get this one right here. CJ asks, how am I doing? I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing? The moon looks just like your picture tonight, Kevin. What picture tonight? I'm thinking, did you see those pictures I took of the moon? Okay, so here I'm going to illuminate those interior lights in there. It's going to look a little bit harsh, okay, because I think it's going to be very, you know, white right here, okay, but I might diffuse them out a little bit later. Let me show you how this is going to be looking too while we're at it here. Here's our kind of moonlit situation like that, and there it is. Look at that. See, isn't this killer down here? I love that look right there, that kind of glowing look. It looks like this little lagoon or something like that. But see, it's always a little bit lighter than down here, because again, it's not, you know, completely mirrored type of situation there. But I don't know, you know, having this kind of blurred out down here, I think it looks even more effective, because I think it's really something that would be indicative of, you know, natural space or something like that. Again, not that we're trying to replicate nature or something like that, but it is kind of how we see things, you know. And, you know, if we're focusing in on our hand, like right in front of our face like this, okay, things in the distance are going to be all blurred out, you know what I mean? We don't have this huge, you know, infinite range of, you know, whatever depth of field. So, I don't know, when you see things like this, when things are a little bit diffused or blurred out, and other things within a scene are in focus, again, it's really indicative of actual visuals. Okay, so I am just filling in this. It's kind of hard to see, you know, these lights in here. So those are my lights. So it's a little bit harsh again, like I said, but those are going to look really awesome down this reflected area like that. Okay, so let's crisp this up a little bit here. Okay, let's give it a little bit more of a, you know, highlight on some of these rooftops like this. I'm just adding a few little dots, and then I might add in a little bit more lighting to crisp it up, just like I did up here. But see, there's some of that lighting hitting that area in there. We can hit some splatter painted stars around in there. You wouldn't see stars on a moonlit night, but this is stamping. You can take your liberties with it just for effect, like that. But, all right, so we have our background and we do not have our foreground in here. I think these can look pretty interesting just as is, but what I like to do is I like to add in that foreground, those foreground elements down here, because see, when you see, look at these mirror cards like this, we have this area right here that's not covered up on the side. So usually I'm using like larger pine trees or something like this. I can't really cover up everything because I have like the smaller palm fronds just within our set right here, but I'll fill in some of those areas. I'll break up these lines right here of the reflected area of this and the side. Okay, so I don't have these triangles out here that don't match up, you know, really well in here. I think this would be really good to stamp our little canoeist down here or something like this. But this is what I was mentioning, you know, when someone opens a card like this, I think that's really dramatic like that, because see, you get that movement of that moon where it's like, you know, in motion like that. It's like rising or something like that out of the scene. All right. Oh, I guess right here, I didn't think about this too. We can have some other, let's do this right here. Let's add a little bit of this right here. This is the image right here, the Palm Island that's right in that distant area, but I can have one like right over here and maybe another one coming in like this. And then we'll add in some of those fronds down below, down here for something even closer. So you can go with, you know, multiple layers of depth in here. All right, so we're going to be stamping on top of the foil right here. So that I've used Brilliance Black before, but I would definitely go with a StazOn if you have it, if you're doing something like that, just because if you stick with the StazOn down on that silver cardstock, you don't have to spray seal it, and it will retain its as much of the reflective type of mirroring as you can get. Spray sealing, it doesn't affect it completely, but it can give it a little bit of a foggier texture. And like I said, this cardstock is just, you know, it's not a complete mirror, so you know we want to retain as much of that quality as possible. I go with a glossy, you know, spray as opposed to like a workable fixative, because a workable fixative is going to be textured and kind of more frosty looking. Okay, so let's see. Let's go about right here. I'll go a little bit higher. Okay, one of the things I have to learn with StazOn too, it's so bizarre because it's kind of, it seems to, I don't know if it's counterintuitive, but it's counter to everything I know about inks in terms of transferring ink. You know, if you're working with a dye-based ink, the longer you hold it on a glossy piece of cardstock or a matte piece of cardstock, the more ink transfers. But with StazOn, if you hold it down too long, it starts drying on the surface of the rubber, just like it did there. I think I held it down a little bit too long, and it comes up back on this. I don't know if you guys, you know, if you guys know that too, but anyways, so you got that right there. That one didn't stamp out as much, but here, let me show you what that looks like right here. So you see that? It kind of puts these things right here into the foreground too, doesn't it? Oh, I need to be careful about that one. I almost forgot about that. That looks pretty good right there. If I stamped it up higher though, I would have lost that moonlight in that reflected area. So I need to be careful about that. Be careful about what you stamp down here in terms of it covering up your reflection down here, okay? All right. So we got that, and let's go on with our fronds here. F-R-O-N-D. Okay. All right, let me give quicker, faster impressions here. This one's the frond 2, but it's kind of the left side one bending right, and this is the right side one curving left. My preference right for this one would be my larger palm frond. This one right here, because it's closer to us. All right. But that's not in the set, so I did do one down here using that just, to show people some options going forward, but these will do for here. All right, so we have this right in here. And there's our thing. So see this, this kind of right, I mean, it doesn't cover it up completely like that, but it covers it up enough, I mean, largely you're kind of aware of kind of that, what's going on within this space like that. And again, it looks a little bit different, depending on the angle and when someone opens up their card. And by the way, whatever you want to put out here, you can do white over here, but this I usually use a piece of black cardstock because when I tape this down on here, if there's a little bit of space in between these two, if it's white, it really shows up in here. But if you get a little bit of black like that, no big deal, you know what I mean? It's not as bad as if that was a white area right in there. So yeah. Okay, so that is that. Let's do this little guy. Let's see if I can put this little canoeist right over the top of that moon. See how I did it right in here? It's right over the top of this moonlit area. It's a real light impression. Let me see if I can kind of figure out where it would be. It would be right here. Maybe that's going to be a little bit too close to this, but let's give it a try. This little boating guy, he's like us, he likes to go, instead of stamping at night, he goes for a little boating excursion at night. But yeah, there he is right there. See that right there? He's right in front of that little moonlit area like so. Okay, now, like I said, if I want to, I can just kind of diffuse those lights in there just a touch. So you take that, and actually I'm going to go with a Q-tip in this case, like this. And we'll get a little bit of diffusion like that. And let's do something too. Let's create a little bit of a mist coming off of the surface of this water down here. Let's go like a little bit like this. I'm not going to put it over everything, but hopefully this kind of reflects down in that mirrored section as well. Actually, I think, let's see how this looks. And if it looks good, I might put a little bit more in the sky. Okay, so see that? It's just a little bit of that white coming off the surface like that. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that looks much better, huh? Having that illumination like that down there. And plus it also kind of separates, that area from the base like that. Let's do this too. Let's take some of this white pigment ink like this. And there's these striations within the design itself too. But I'm going to go for it like this and just kind of go out from the center and pull out like that, okay? So if you're going this way, turn it this way and just go like this. You'll get a nice graceful kind of stroke that way. And then just flip it out like that and come from the center out. Usually I'm coming from the outside edge in, I go like that, from the outside in, but we're coming from the center point. So keep it light like that and stroke out like that. And let's see what that looks like right in here. Yeah, creates a little bit more of a mood, maybe. Maybe it's a little bit too light up here. Let me see something like this. Let's refine it a little bit more. So I'll take a clean area of a cotton ball, okay, and I'll just go like this, and it's like you can remove some of it too. You know, if you just applied it, see, it's a little bit lighter like that. You can also come with black, you know, on the perimeter like that. And I think that would look really good, but I want to keep these as simple as possible. All right, so you have something like that. And you get this little moody kind of, you know, whatever, tropical little cove or whatnot, like that. And again, this would be perfect for kind of a word stamp or something like that. Up here, I don't know, I have these quotes about moonlight. Moonlight is sculpture. That would be good in here, something like that. Yeah. Okay, so let me show you what this might look like just in some different color schemes like that. Now again, this is vertical right here. I'm not going to be putting this down here, and this is not, but you can see, you know, with certain things like this, you can see what this looks like with, you know, that foreground down here. You wouldn't have this. Like I said, it would be like from here on up, you know. Actually, I have foreground right here, but I don't know, you can see what some different color schemes, you know, would just generally look like in here. That would look really great with the sunset, wouldn't it? Okay, so that is that. There's one thing like that. Okay, actually, it wasn't that one. It was this one right here. Okay, now let's do something on holographic cardstock right here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, CJ. Black Sharpie pen if the gap is too wide and shows, yeah. I always have my Sharpie right here, Linda. I had to do that on one of my pieces that was on white in a live stream once. I was like, you know. I used my tape and it, I didn't match it up. I didn't butt it up against the, you know, this lower portion enough so there's this big gap in here and it was all white. And it was like, okay, I'm using black from now on. Okay, so here's the thing with this one right here. All right. Now, I could have done this with this piece too, but here's one of the things on this one. Oh, actually not on this one, because this one can take anything. It's the printable vinyl, okay? Okay, let me do this other technique when I'm using this one right here, because this one is not going to take anything, okay? So that's why I have some of these already printed out on this, so that I can cut out this hut section and glue it down on here, okay? But this one right here, this printable vinyl takes so many different things really well, especially if you lay down some tone using this Brilliance ink right here, okay? So let me get my bearings right here. Okay, so this is going to go up about 1.5 inches from the base right here. And let's see, should we do this a little bit off center? Let's do this a little bit off center on this one. Let's come over this way. Just for case, I think this will look better centered, but I've been doing everything centered with this one, so I'm going to put a little bit off center, like rule of thirds on this one. Okay, so this is going up around right here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this white out area right in here, okay? And it doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to use a stamp position or something like that. If some of this goes above the imagery, that's just going to be fine. It'll look like clouds or something of that sort. And yeah, you just want it to go into that hut area, and I'll show you why. Well, I'll tell you why right now. It's because I can use colored pencils on it to really tone in and define that imagery over the top of this really super loud holographic cardstock, okay? Actually, what I'll do is I'll come across this whole span down here, and I'll use the Palm Island out this way. I don't have to really use too much of this because it's, you know, if I stamp out something in black over the top of it, it's going to show up anyway. But we'll just kind of mellow it out a little bit with this. And again, this is going to be a kind of a loud card, and I would normally add a little bit of a vignette around this with black or something like that to mellow it out. But again, I want these cards tonight to go really fast. So I'm not doing everything that I would, feel kind of compelled to do, when I look at my cards, and kind of determining if I've taken them as far as I want to. But here's what I'm doing right here. Hold on, let me see if you can see that. See that right there? Yeah, did I go up high enough? Let's see. Yeah, a little bit higher here. When you lay this Brilliance ink down on this printable vinyl, when you touch it like this, it allows you to blend it out like this, but once it's laid down, you can't really blend it around very much like you can on a holographic cardstock, because this has this emulsion coating on here that makes those water-based inks on there really set up very quickly, okay? It's just designed to do that because it's, you're running it through a printer and it has to dry fairly fast. If you're printing out photographs or something like that with heavy color on there, they have to really dry quickly. So that works for us in terms of this type of technique right here, but it's not great in terms of the blending of media on the surface. Okay, that's the other side of it. But it makes it entirely possible for us to do it too. So, that's the other side of the coin, so to speak. Okay, so let's see. I'll do this one in stays on again, I guess. That stays on. That stays on for me is tricky. It just goes against everything that I've been doing for like 35 years, holding the stamp down a little bit longer. Because I don't want to lift it so fast that, I missed like 20% of the impression or something like that. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. Okay. Okay, I think that was enough. It really sticks hard. It bends like the heck out of your vinyl, but it is vinyl, so you just flatten it out. It's good to go. It doesn't have like all these creases in it or anything like that. If it is a little bit bent, remember, you're going to be sticking it to this, but look at that sky up there that, I don't know, it's like a psychedelic, type of imagery up there. But there's, see, where I blocked it out. You don't have all those colors in the huts down there. So it's a little bit more mellow. And you can't even really see where I put that white above there. It's a little bit more translucent because, again, it was like a thinner application of that white up there because I have the thicker part of it down here, and it went up like that. Okay? All right. So... looking for this. It was like this. I couldn't see it. All right. Okay, and the Palm Island off to the side, just kind of acting as a filler stamp. I'm missing my plastic piece that goes over this part. I don't know where it went. Oh, I'm holding this down too long again. I hope I got a good impression. It's a little bit light. Ah, man, see that? Let's go for a dual impression over here. So we'll go for a lighter impression and we'll go for a darker impression like that. So hopefully it looks like a little bit more depth in there. How much time do I have? Like 3 seconds to do it, Okay. There and there. God, it's so much darker like that. All right, so we have our depth right here. We have stronger ones, lighter ones in the background like that. It's going to look a little bit low when it's mirrored, but so be it. Okay, and here and there. Stamp it really fast. Okay, let's see what this is looking like. Always get your bearings as far as your visuals here. Let's use a little bit of white down here. We'll kind of put it in a little bit of fog too, like that. And I think I'm going to use maybe my larger fronds down here. Let's do that. Or, yeah, okay, I was thinking about using my palm stalks and fronds on here. This one right here. But again, I think that would be too busy. It's going to block off all the reflected area down there. So let's keep it really simple. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to my larger fronds down here. I want to create a little bit more distance within the piece. Okay. When you're stamping on silver cardstock, make sure that you don't skew it. I do it all the time. I should say, be careful from skewing, meaning that when you're stamping it down there, it's easy to kind of move it, kind of I don't know, a little micro turn, because it's like you're stamping on glass, so you have that liquid in between the stamp and that surface, and when you're squishing it down there, it's easy to kind of ever so slightly move it around. Linda, you were saying, though, that the Stays-On ink just wipes it right off the silver foil, though, right? You said it came off nice and clean, and you were able to get another impression again. Okay, I need another frond coming the other way one of these days, but we'll just make it like that. All right, so we have these areas down here like so. It doesn't look like anything, but when you pair it with your background like that, you have your foreground, you're looking at the, I don't know, kind of across the water to that little structure in the background like so. Oh, by the way, I put that, my plastic thing is in there now, so I won't lose it. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that little plastic covering that covers this little area, people told me to adhere that, you know, on the interior like that, so I won't lose it every time I'm taking that off now. Okay, so this piece right here, let's go on and color this one. All right, let's see if I can get in there a little bit. Ah, gosh darn it, this camera's driving me nuts with the focus here. Something happened to, it's either my lens or the camera. Okay, I'm flipping off right here. Coming back on, let's see if it can grab this focus at this distance right here. Yeah, this is driving me nuts here. It should be able to handle that. Okay. Okay, so colored pencils like this, okay? You wouldn't think that you can use colored pencils on something like this, which you're really not, but you're coloring Brilliance ink, okay? Brilliance white on there. And if you haven't seen me do this before, to me, the surface texturing on this Brilliance ink on the top of this printable vinyl, it feels like copy paper to me, in terms of kind of the general texturing of it, which for me is fine. You know, it doesn't feel like a world-class, you know, colored pencil Bristol cardstock or something, you know what I mean? Bristol board or something like that, or, you know, some cold press board, illustration board or something like that. But you can layer on here pretty well with these colored pencils, as I was mentioning in other video streams, I don't know if you can use something like pastels on here or something like that. That really requires a decent amount of tooth, but coloring that, it's not really any problem. It takes it pretty well. I'm able to get maybe 3 or 4 layers of colored pencil pretty good on here. Not thick layers or anything like that. There is going to be a point of kind of super saturation, but it's not bad at all. All right, so this is some brown right here. Just some natural tones or something like that. I want my rooftops to remain nice and light, okay, like this one right here. So what I'm doing is I'm putting some brown on there, but on the vertical sides, the walls, I'll make the walls a little bit darker. And I didn't keep those rooftops just white. I put a little bit of color onto them, like that, so you get this kind of more rounded form like that, okay? It would be my preference to have more things on this, but we're just working with, that nature set number 11 like that. So you get those kind of more mellow tones like that, and it reflects down in that water area, just like so, okay? So a little bit crazy looking, but again, up here, this is an area right up here that I would, leave open for something like a quote or some other types of imagery in there. But again, like I said, I'm just sticking with this set for the most part like that. But these types of papers like this are really fun. You get an area like that. It looks like a, I don't know, different season or something like that, or a different time of day. It looks like twilight or something like that. Get something like that. I don't know. It's very, I don't know, kind of impressionistic or something like that, but maybe it would be, I don't know, morning or something like that. But all the colors like that, and of course, it's reflected down in that water area, giving your pieces a lot of movement, especially when someone opens a card like this. They're wondering, what the heck is going on, like that. I mean, I think that is really fun. Let me see. Did I have that gold one here too? Yeah, here's the gold. I think I sent out a piece of gold to use with this one, but here's the gold like this. I can't remember now. I need to check. But there's the gold foil down there with the holographic. And you can get this kind of warmer tinge like that. But there it is, broken up. 2 stamps up here, 1 stamp down here, right? And just letting a lot of the colors do the work. It's letting the media do the work for you, with this up here. Like I said, it needs to be, it'd be my preference to have things a little bit more mellow and to not have so much of that holographic action dominating the place. I'd like to fill in a little bit more, but again, that would be up to, the participants in the class, of whatever they're going to use. I'm going to suggest they fill in with, extra word stamps or something like that, out of their collection, and using these types of things. The imagery is just kind of a foundation, someone's going to whatever. That's not like any house in Hawaii that I've ever, it's more like Tahiti or something like that maybe, or I don't know, Fiji, Micronesia, or I don't know, something like that. But, that'd be fun to kind of do, or, it's, if someone's doing something, it doesn't look like a winter scene or something like that, but sometimes people are stamping out those types of things when they're getting sick of, snowy winter in, I don't know, whatever, April or something like that, in Maine, you know what I mean? They might want to stamp out, the tropics or something like that, something warm looking. Okay, so adding some of this white pigment ink again. Smash it down a little bit like so. Okay. Like that. Get your cotton ball kind of prepped like that. And let's add a little bit of this frosty kind of mist down here. In this case, it would be a sea mist. I can't remember if I've done a mirror card using that lighthouse in here before. this lighthouse small, probably, with a beam coming across or something like that. But I think that would be a really great mirror card too. All right. But here, what I'm doing is I'm diffusing some of those darker impressions of those palms. I'm leaving some dark, but I'm just kind of mellowing some of those out just so that it kind of matches up that a little bit more. So we have some of that white in the background. Then we have your imagery and you have your white in front of it. So again, it kind of envelops the imagery in there, giving it a little bit of a different textural kind of balance, and that's what you have like that. So you get a little bit more depth in here now with the utilization of some of that pigment ink. Up here, splatter painting or something like that, if you want to make it go, starry. I don't know if I do it sometimes on the holographic, like at certain angles sometimes. It looks like night. I'm trying to get it, where some of those blues are. Maybe, I don't know, like that. I don't know, it's like northern light, tropical northern lights. It'd be like combining two of the best things in one, You would never see the northern lights in the kind of this setting right here, but, in an ideal world or something like that, maybe you would get something like that. Something like this down here, you can put a quote stamp down here, and that looks like it would be floating on the surface of the water too, and that would be good. Or a canoeist or a fisherman. Gosh, that really that'd be a perfect spot to put a fisherman right here. Maybe I'll do that on this one. I won't do it now though. Yeah, let's see. I erase with Stays On Cleaner all the time. A clean erase. Rubbing alcohol works well on vinyl. Does the alcohol dull the coating of the vinyl, Linda? Yeah, does it? I don't know the answer to that one. Okay, I'm going to try something here. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see if it does, okay? So this right here, okay, I can't use, if I can't, I don't think I can do a whiteout with the Brilliance ink down here and stamp over the top of it. I think this is just too sealed off. Now, I haven't tested that yet, but I think this is where stamping on something like this is going to be beneficial in terms of coverage. Okay, I've done this on another video before too, but I'll show you how to utilize other types of surfaces with imagery and media that would be incompatible with this down here, okay? So if I'm going to paste this over the top of this right here, I'm not going to cut this whole thing out like this and cut around this, okay? Because you don't need to do that. The only thing that you would need to cut out of this are these open area images in here, okay? So what I mean by that is I'm going to stamp this out in Stays On ink because that will stick on here. Man, that paper is so loud. You get these such strong bars of like darkness across it, but I think it's mostly because of this table that I'm sitting at right here, and I'm stamping like in a dark room here. So what you see right here is my ceiling right here, and these are reflected lamps. Normally the paper would be a little bit more, it'd be lighter like this, okay, with these little streaks like that. So it's not going to be quite as harsh as this outside of my studio situation right here, okay? Especially at nighttime, with no light coming in my windows whatsoever, in which case these areas would be a little bit lighter like this. But this is a pretty good example of how you utilize something like this in conjunction with this type of surface, if need be, okay? So let's go with this. I'm just going to go with it in center, about like that. All right. Now see that image right there? You can't see it at all, right? Okay. And if I wanted to color it, I could do that. Or if I put the white on there, okay, with the Brilliance ink, just like I did with the white, Brilliance ink on the, where did that go here? I don't even know where my scene just went. It's really bad when you just stamp something out and you lost it. It's that, is that over here? No. Anyway, you guys saw it. No, here it is right here. Okay. So I could put that white on top of that, I think, you know what I mean? But I just don't think it would match up either in terms of media and texturing and all that. So I'm just going to go with something like this, and I'm just going to make it really stick out for the sake of this type of surface right here. So let's go on, and I'm going to color these huts down here, again, with that brown tones. I have 3 different brown tones. All right. And I'll go with multiple values of it in here. Okay, I'll go with some of these browns down in here as well. Remember, you can get a pretty wide range of values just from using one pencil. You know, as long as it's a medium tone. If it's a super light one, it's not going to get any darker than using it at full strength, but something like this right here. Let's change hues a little bit and go for multiple hues again, a little bit darker on the vertical sides of the huts, about like so. And I like to vary my rooftop values a little bit. So they're a little bit darker in some areas, a little bit lighter. And let's go with this darkest one right here. Maybe some black would be good too, especially on this super loud background. Again, I think this is going to be too wild, you know, in the end result. And I'll have another video where I kind of bring everything together. But again, this is just kind of more for foundations. I got a bunch of people taking the class on Wednesday, and we're just not going to have time to get through a bunch of different things. So I'll finish off. I'll do some like finishing touches and things like that and refinements on another video. Okay, and this is black right here. All right, so we have our rooftops a little bit darker and our rooftops a little bit lighter like that. Okay, so that being done like that. All right, now we have our darker trees up here like so, right? Actually, you can see that hut right now, but sometimes you can't. It's going to be like that. So all you do with this is you just roughly trim it out. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because you already have those black trees on here, and you're just going to have to paste this right over the top and match it up. So like something like this. Okay, now again, it's going to stick out because it's not foil like that, but that's the point of it too. Okay, so you go like this, and it's going to be right in there. Okay. And what it looks like over this, maybe this one would be better on the gold. I don't know. Something like that, like about like so. And oh, let's see. Let's grab our, where did my tape go now? I was just using my tape. Let me see right down here too. I'm going to cut off some of this lower portion right here. This doesn't match up again like that, but again, you know, we'll add in some darker tones down here later. Okay. Like that. And you just have to roughly match that up like so. All right. And okay, that is on the gold. That looks really bad. It looks bad in terms of a match, but again, remember, we're going to blend all that in, kind of. It won't blend in. It'll blend in to an extent, okay? This is white cardstock on top of craziness. But again, we can see it now. It totally stands out. So after you get something like that, so I can see it like that. But now, okay, that will really have to be blended in a lot more. I can see. We need to go with a lot more contrast in here. Oh, let me see. I stamped that out in dye-based ink too. So I did that for a reason too. I did it so that we can use some of our pens in here as well. Alcohol pens, right? With StazOn ink, it would totally smear them out. So let's go with something like this a little bit more. And here's some gray. Okay, and blue. I'll just put a little touch of this blue up on the rooftop where it still is a little bit white, okay? You wouldn't think so, but even in warm tone areas, I like to add a little bit of bluish tinge to it. So it's matching a little bit more because we're bringing up the values within this piece a little bit closer to some of the stronger values in here. Not the intensity, because I want it to stand out. I don't want it to... We didn't do this to make it completely blend in with the background. We want it to stand out, right? But we don't want it to so shockingly, you know, kind of awkward in there. All right, here's a little bit of a darker gray. I'm not going straight with black yet, but I'm just building it up a little bit as we go here, okay? And let's see. Here is black. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that is really black. Yeah, I don't trust myself with that black. I can't get lighter tones using this black right here. So I'm going to use my colored pencils because I can get that black. Or I can get as black as that, but there's just so much more control over it with this. Okay, so let's go underneath this in the shaded area, like so. All right, and let's see. Let's go with our Pine Island here. A lot of people ordered this holographic paper here, cardstock, after one of my videos, and where, you know, it was the Northern Lights, and some people ordered like every pack they had of every color. I thought, really? Wow, you know, that's a lot of sheets of a really super like specific type of cardstock that seems like it would be good for certain types of things, but kind of highly specialized. Okay, so we have this here. I'm not sure what I like better, if it's better on the silver or if it's better on the gold. Oh, now that I look at this too, I need to put more yellow into the rooftops like that because there's this super yellow light up here and we need to get more of that warm tone in here. We can bring in some greens too like that. Actually, that's looking pretty interesting like that. I still need a little bit more toning in here, but it's not too bad in terms of something. One of the things with this paper too, we need certain things to kind of anchor in here because otherwise everything's in motion that's going on. So I liked my little kind of star textures in there in my other Northern Lights type of representation, but I don't know. Okay, so let's see here. All right, I'm getting better with my stays on impressions here, I think. Yeah, much better. Couple seconds and that's it. That's all it can take. Okay, and let's see here. Like about like so. Those huts really stand out in there. All right, those palms, I think they're dry, and that stays on was just re-inked too. That is so crazy. All right, so let's see here. All right, where did my white pen go now? One of the things I like about alcohol inks is that, and I have a couple sets here, but there's so many different values of tones, and just as I say that, I'm looking at my yellows here, and there isn't very much of a change in value and intensity. They all look kind of the same. Are these the same colors? No, they aren't. 623 and 625. Yeah, maybe I don't want to go with those ones again. Maybe I'll go with the yellow right here. Okay, so let me bring in some warmer tones here. The cardstock that I am working on is kind of an orangish, yellowish tinge. So down like that, a little bit more of a yellow tinge to these rooftops. Because if this is the color that's reflecting down here, you want to get some of that color reflecting off of those illuminated areas within that space, okay? Okay, let's see here. On the overlay, it did dull the shine of the stars a bit, but I erased about 8 times. Oh, okay. So it dulled off the whatever surface is on there then with the stays on cleaner then, huh? Yeah, the vellum on the holographic might look interesting. It would be something to try out. It would be hard. I don't know if it would reflect anything on there though. I mean, it'd be simple to test out though. I'll have to check it out sometime. Okay, so I'm adding some little highlights down here on these rocks. Like so. I wonder if I should give a spattering up top there or something like that. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I want it more as like a sunset-y type of thing, like a, you know, psychedelic sunset, I guess, but who says it's not with a little bit of splattered paint, huh? Let's test it out. All right, it is time. I haven't added water to this since I totally mixed a couple bottles up, but I think it's time. This is getting a little bit too thick. Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, a super opaque watercolor paint. It's what all professional illustrators pretty much had a bottle of this opaque white, pre-digital age, as well as calligraphers. calligraphers would all have it now if they're, unless they're doing like, I don't know, some kind of form of like digital calligraphy or something. I doubt if they would though, because those calligraphers are all about hand lettering. But they would all have a bottle of Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. It's just the thing that's completely designed for certain types of applications in terms of the necessity of, the need of opacity. Okay, I'm going for a little bit of an irregular spray. I'm trying to go for this little bit of a kind of a Milky Way type of thing like that. Oh, there we go. Like that. Not only that, but the bleed proof white, it's almost like, stays on or something like that. It dries really, really fast. Okay. And, if you get in something like this and this sticks around and it hardens up after, you allow it to dry for like 2 weeks or something like that, it's no problem. You just put this underwater and that Dr. Martin just goes right back into solution and it cleans off of whatever you have it on. Okay, so that is that. Let's put a little bit of white pigment ink on a Q-tip like this. Well, I don't know if it dries that fast, not like, some of these larger little beads on here. Especially on this very non-porous surface like here, but 5 minutes and it'll all be dry on there. But let's hit some of these stars up a little bit with a little bit of this pigment ink. I don't know why, but now it looks like nighttime to me, at most of the angles. I don't know why. The bleed-proof white didn't do that, but I don't know. Okay, so let's go with some of this, blot it off a little bit, and I tell you what, here's what I'm going to do too. Let's create a little bit more variation in here, and I'll put some larger stars, and these are the ones that I will illuminate with some of this white pigment ink. This would look really good on the Star Dream one, that blue one too, I think. But I don't know, let's not do it on that one. Tonight at least. Okay, so blot off a little bit, and gosh, one of the things about this paper is it's really hard to see because I have all this glare. I can see it really easy at certain angles, but when I'm doing it like this, I'm looking at like this, a lot of times trying to find those, those bigger stars at certain angles. So it's kind of interesting to work on this surface. Okay, now this one right here, because I am using the Dr. Martens on here and the pigment ink like this, I will have to spray seal this lightly, okay, in order for this ink to adhere to the surface like that, okay? It's good in a way too, because if you don't like it, God, look at that tone in there like that. Isn't that cool? All right, I'm starting to like this scene. It was, every time I'm working on this type of paper, it's just too hot. But then when I do these little anchor points like this that are stationary, little stars or imagery in here, I don't know if I've used a word stamp against it yet, but it just anchors things down a bit like that for me. A little North Star would be kind of cool, a little 8-point star in here, But yeah, look at that. It's all dreamy looking like that. There's certain things with the integration of this down here. It's not perfectly integrated. I wouldn't say it's integrated at all, but let me try some little bit of that white brilliance ink down here, and let me see if I can add in a little bit of fog. But look at that back there. I don't know, maybe this will be better with just more like silhouette style of images like that, just with the Palm Island back here in this. But I think that looks killer right that. And look, this is in the gold foil down below like this. Well, let's see if we can create a little bit more of separation between um, surface and sky, again with that white pigment ink again. Now, Linda, you asked me about blocking out. I don't know, I haven't tried that yet, but I'll try it on an upcoming scene here, but not tonight. But I'll try to lay down some of this white pigment ink, and then we'll see if we could stamp over it. My theory and fear would be that if I laid down some of this pigment ink on this type of surface right here, and if I just went and stamped right over it in black ink with my imagery, I have a feeling that that black ink, especially if it was the StazOn, will just lift the white pigment ink as opposed to the black ink transferring onto the white that's on here, because it's not like the the printable vinyl sticker paper that has that emulsion coating. Everything on this surface right here is really just staying right on the surface. Okay, so let's go with some of this. The Brilliance ink will dry on here, but I don't know if it'll adhere to it. I doubt if it would. It doesn't adhere very well on this type of cardstock either. The mirrored cardstock, and this type of cardstock is very mirrored. And mirrored and non-porous, I should add. Okay, let's see how that's looking right there. Looking a little better, I think. I have that strong line in there though, huh? That shadow area. I could probably kind of knock that out a little bit more. It's kind of catching a little bit more when I have it up like that. You can see that little shadow underneath there, but here's the mirrored aspect of it. So I haven't tacked this down yet, but if someone opens that up, I think that'll look pretty killer. I think that's a pretty good reveal for your recipient of your card. I find that quite dazzling, like that. This would be good for a little word stamp right in here, I think, or a quote stamp. I like, if I'm doing a quote stamp, I often like it down here in the water because it looks like it's floating on the surface of the water. If it's not, I guess it could be like a longer quote or something like that. But if you have it up here, I usually don't go down here too far because it would be reflecting upside down in here. And I don't like text to be upside down or reverse or anything like that. Okay, so if you put something like that up here, see this area right here, you can see where my finger is reflecting down here. Okay, like if you put it up here, it'll be right reading, but you won't even be able to see it down here. Okay, so I don't think it's any big deal to put like a word stamp up here. I want to go down like all the way down here. I mean, you could if you want to. That's just one of my little things about text, probably from taking my typography class in college. That was the hardest class I ever took because it was with the head of the graphic design department, and he was tough. He was like trying to weed out everyone, that just didn't have it cut out, that were going to do the work. I wasn't a design student, but it was one of the classes I had to take as an illustration student. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a stickler for things like fonts and text and leading and tracking and all that type of lettering stuff. Spaces like 1/100 of an inch between an O and an E. All right, but anyways, here's this piece right here. I think it looks pretty decent in terms of integration. It's a tough integration between this. It's like the most contrast that I've ever done, using a piece of you know, semi-gloss white cardstock and, you know, this type of paper right here. You know, it's something that's completely mellow and like the polar opposite in terms of I don't know what you would call it, dynamic impact or something like that. You know, cardstock and, you know, colored pencil basically. But I don't know. We're using it as a contrasting statement so that it stands out in there. You know, if you want it to integrate in there, you can do that too. You can just stamp it right over the top of it. You know, and we won't be able to see it as much, right? You know, so you can also do that. But I don't know. I think that's pretty fun. And again, see up here, that those stars in there they aren't moving around. So they provide kind of stability to that whole area. And then they're also stabilized with this piece right down here and not moving. So it's just like weather moving through the scene as opposed to, I don't know if it's weather, but that type of, I don't know, color, you know, atmosphere, I don't know, whatever you would call it, atmospheric effects. It feels like it's moving through the world as opposed to just completely dominating it and for it to be moving everything out with it. You know what I mean? It's stable against it. It's moving through our world, you know, as opposed to us kind of being out of control and going with it, you know, a la Hurricane Ian or something. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But anyways, here's the whole part about the mirrored aspect of it. I think this, you know, I don't know. I think that looks okay too as a card, but when you this just is not adding a lot of work to it. It's just one stamp in this piece of gold cardstock on the inside of this. And I think that if you sent this card out to someone, I think that it would be pretty cool for them to open and have something like that. But when they're getting this and thinking, what the heck? And then they're going like that. I think that's pretty cool to have, you know. And then I don't know, you're getting twice as much for your money. Not money, but efforts, you know. So, anyways, yeah. There you have it. When you're taking photographs of these things like this too, if you do ever do a mirror card, see what I do is I put a couple of these things underneath it like this, and then I put it like this, okay? And then what you do is you take your camera and you're shooting it at this like a 45-degree angle. Here, this is open at 90 degrees, and shoot it from kind of a 45-degree angle like that. And, you know, it'll be nice and reflective of what it is. And when you're shooting with a camera like this too, you focus in on that little spotlight there. So if you're shooting it with your, you know, camera phone, I don't have my camera phone. Imagine this is my camera phone like this. What you do is you click that center area like this. And if you're shooting fairly close, this area right here might be a little bit out of focus, right? Because it's focusing on this area. And it makes it look even cooler too, because this area right here would be a little bit blurred out, so it looks even more dimensional that way. Look at this, looks like a comet right here. And this is what I like too. You know, you move your hand across it, and it's like really interactive with your hand like that. You know, I thought the holographic one was super interactive, but I don't know. I think this one, I don't know. I think that kind of pales in comparison to this. I don't know what you call this type of holographic. It's called rainbow holographic, I think, too. But it's, I don't know. It has that different type of patterning to it. So, anyways, white StazOn would work probably, Linda, but you can't blend that out. You know, you're going to be going blob, 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 and that blob that you're going to apply down there is going to be really stuck. And the problem with white StazOn ink too is when you put it on something like this, you might get one tap out of it that's barely visible, and then when you go for a second tap, it's completely dried on this. I've tried that before with my StazOn white pigment, and that was the case with it. I didn't really get 2 taps out of this thing like this. Maybe if I re-inked it though, it'd be fine. I don't know. I don't know, play around with it, see what you can find. If you find anything, let me know. As like, you always do. But I don't know, we need to play around and figure other types of compatibility out with that. But God, that is so crazy. So, anyways, yeah, mirror cards like this, adding a little bit of just fun into the whole thing. And I go back to every time I see one of these types of cards like this come together like this, like that. This one needs some additional things on there, but just having that kind of dynamic in there is just really fun stuff, I think. And I go back to that whole thing about I love picture books, like kids' picture books that have kind of interactive things in it. You open a page and it's like a little flashing lights or something like that. Those Eric Carle books, or you open it up like this and there's that little like cricket, sounding thing in there. I've always liked pop-up type of books too. And this to me feels like a three-dimensional pop-up book, but it's just two-dimensional, on this. But I think they really look three-dimensional. It's as three-dimensional, I think, as a two-dimensional type of thing gets. I mean, it's three-dimensional if you count this 90-degree angle here, but everything is done in two dimensions like that. But you get that kind of area reflecting in each other like so. God, some of these other cards look kind of boring now compared to this one. That surface like that. I'm not going to just, give up all other media for this type of thing like this. I mean, this to me, it's, it's a little bit, I don't know, I wouldn't call it gimmicky, but it definitely has its, I don't know, character to it. Is this the first time? I think this is the first time I've done it in a mirror card too. One of the things about mirror cards too, when you're working with these kind of holographics like this, one of the things that's interesting to me, different colors up here than down here. Like, see this color right here that's reflecting this, it's not even up here. So I don't know, you're getting like some different types of looks from top to bottom. See this real heavy kind of little sunsetty type of band right here. It's not like you see it all up there either. So it's not just a mirror from a mirroring of this top portion down to the base. I guess it's affecting each other because this is a mirror too. So this is reflecting down here, and this area right here is reflecting off of that. So they're kind of bouncing off each other a little bit too. So I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, I thought it was to be a little bit too flashy too, and it certainly is to an extent. I mean, this to me, it wasn't. To me, anytime I kind of splatter paint that white in there, it starts working for me because I need that stability up there. But I mean, other things might work too. Like if we do like a word stamp in, I think it would have to be in white. I don't know. Or if we just paste something over it, like a word stamp or a quote on a separate piece of paper and put it up there too, I think that would work as well. So, oh, hello, Phyllis. Bang for the buck. That's exactly right. Mirror cards, you're doing like half of the work for, double your whatever experience. But see, there's little glowing stars up here too with that little bit of a white pigment ink over some of them like that. It really makes that area stand out, doesn't it? So I don't know. And the multi-pack of this comes in, I think it was 5 different colors too. I can't remember if I've used this goldish tinge one before yet either. So I think that works pretty well for a sunset. And I haven't used it horizontally like this. I've been mostly doing the, in the first few experiments, using it vertically like that for more Northern Lights types of looks. So anyway, so that is that. Mirror cards. It's a little bit of an introduction for people that are taking that class. Not that they're going to watch this video or something like that or follow-up videos, but for some people that too that are missing the class and just kind of want to see kind of some general gist of what some different combinations can look like. Gold and holographic printable vinyl and silver. Your Stardream lapis lazuli and silver down here. Actually, this one doesn't have the imagery stamped at the base like that down there, but you have this like that. I need to crisp up some of those areas in there. It looks kind of diffused. It's like a haunted whatever structure in the background. You can see it a little bit more like that. I don't know. Maybe I put in too much white in there. I don't know. I'll tweak this a little bit more. But we need some bats up there or something like this. If you have a haunted mansion, wouldn't that be awesome right here? You do a haunted mansion up here with the illumination like that. In the whatever haunted pond down here, you can have like a zombie coming out of the water or something like that. That'd be a perfect application of a mirror card. But fun stuff. I'd recommend trying it out. I've sent a couple mirror cards to a couple people, and that aren't stampers, okay, that have seen this before, and they were like, a lot of I don't hear back from some of them, when I send them a card, but it was like this time it's like, hey, cool card, and they pretty much knew what to do, in terms of opening it up and enjoying it. It wasn't like, oh wait, what in the world's going on? They got it, in terms of how to look at it too, so there wasn't any problem with that, which, I had wondered about, but, no problem. All right. So anyways, yeah. Let's see. Kay said the rainbow paper would make a cool solar system card. It would. Yeah. Wait, do you mean this rainbow paper, the holographic foil, or the other one like here? That one. I think you probably mean this one right here, huh? It would. Any type of space type of thing with that splatter painting up there. I haven't done a card yet. I'll have to do a card and see if it works without that kind of splatter painted area up there. But like I said, I just needed something so that the whole card wasn't moving around like that and floating, in some kind of like psychedelic type of kind of experience, which that kind of still is, but it's still based on, I don't know, things that you might see in the sky. But like I said in the title of that other video, it's like, kind of sky effects on steroids, or something like that. But little cloud textures in there. Linda, asked me about some, white blocking out. Maybe that would work in here. It seems like I applied this pigment ink down here, and it looks like it's working just fine. I don't know if I could stamp into it, okay? But I could probably do some masking and do some cloud types of effects. Maybe the ripped paper towel type of masking technique for clouds in there would be really awesome for that look. It'd be really cool to do that in a Northern Lights type of situation. So, yeah. God, this is all a surprise to me too. I tended to buy a lot of kind of metallic papers in the past. I didn't buy the loudest of ones like this, or even the starry. I never would have considered, but I love it. I don't know. I'm looking at different types of surfaces with a completely different eye now. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a challenge, but I think it can work, especially if something like that worked. I mean, it doesn't get too much busier, crazier looking than this paper right here. So I don't know. I don't find it so intimidating if we can get this to work. Although every time I start working with this one, I'm not sure if how it's going to come out. Like I really like this card right here. That really stood out too much to me. So it was the stars in white and that little fog down there. And I'll probably tweak this one even a little bit more, the more that I look at it, and integrate it a little bit more, that area in there. But I think those guys work out pretty good in there in terms of standing out. So, cabin in the woods in a pine forested one or something like that would probably be really nice. Under like a winter type of Northern Lights situation, I think it would be really cool. So anyway, let's see. Kathy bought their stamp set. I bought my stamp set a couple weeks before the stamp wars. I resisted that set for a long time because we live in Washington. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I don't, yeah, I'm in California too, so I don't know. I stamp at everything. Um, I don't necessarily try to stamp the things that I'm around, but it's certainly one of those things that's a little bit more evocative. But if you've ever wanted to travel, if you live in Washington, would that prevent you from traveling to Hawaii or something like that? One of the things about us stamping is that when we do these types of things, you're kind of taking a little bit of a, subconscious vacation to those areas that you're stamping in. So unless you want to avoid a certain type of area, I don't think it should prevent anyone from doing it. But yeah, I stamp more pine tree types of things and whatnot when I'm doing these things. But I find that when I'm doing something like this, I think I'm transported to Tahiti for, I don't know, how long's this thing been going on for? When I started that card, like an hour. We took an hour vacation to, Tahiti or something like that, in the time it took to stamp that out. So I don't know. And one of the things about that too, if you're stamping kind of late at night or something like that, who knows? Who knows if you're dreaming about those types of things that you just stamped out. So if you want to take a little bit of thing, you can go in Washington, go on your hikes around there, drives and stuff like that, take the Cascades and everything like that. Stamp out a little tropical scene, Kathy, and then you can have your whatever your fifth stage period at whatever Oahu, not Oahu, maybe Kauai. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining in this late night. It's 2:30 right here for all of us on Pacific Standard Time. In this location right here, it's 12:26 Hawaii time. I don't know. I don't know what time that. I don't even know what time that is. What time zone is Hawaii? What do they call that? California already has Pacific Standard Time. The West Coast and Canada and all whatever. Mexico has Pacific Standard Time. I don't know. Is it called Island Standard Time? IST or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know. Fun stuff. All right, so yeah, Florida, you don't see that type of palm area. Well, everyone kind of has different types of trees here in California. We have all types of landscaping things. I don't know if any of the palm trees. Some of the palm trees are indigenous, like in the palm canyons and stuff like that. But I bet you all the palm trees that we see in like on the coast out here in Southern California, they're probably all non-indigenous, because they're not the types of palm trees that I see out in the deserts and stuff like that, and the natural canyons and things like that around Palm Springs and everything like that. They're all kind of landscape types. So 5:30, Phyllis. Oh my gosh. Yeah, CJ, you're on. You're 4:30, huh? Some people are on Central, so I don't know. Maybe some people are getting up. All right, folks. I'll probably come on another live tomorrow and play around with the stamps a little bit more. I want to do some different applications with this set one more time before that class so that people can reference it, that have that set, and I'll show them how to do some different variations and whatnot. So yeah. All right, so Kathy, take that subconscious dream time to this location right here. It's it's like not a timeshare, but one of those parts that you rent out like that. Except the good part about this little cabin right here in this location, there's no mosquitoes or no malaria or anything like that. There's no bugs, except for the sound of bugs maybe in the distance that will help us to all sleep, but you won't get bit by it, so you don't need a mosquito net or anything like that. All right, Michelle, great to see you. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a great rest of evening or morning. If any of you are just staying up, I don't know if you're, going to bed or what. Stamp out a scene, stamp out a mirror card if you can't sleep, and thus be transported into your own three-dimensional world. All right, good night, everyone.